Hi everyone. First of all, I just want to say that I hope that your families are staying safe and healthy during this crazy time. While we're all home during the coronavirus pandemic, obviously it's difficult for us to keep up with our sports, but I'm going to give you a tip now that you can use at home. Obviously, I'm in my basement, and you can take 5 minutes and yourself or your children can help your muscles develop as a tennis player, and also help you to understand some pretty important concepts in the game of tennis. All it takes is 5 minutes, and I'm going to show you how to do it. How to work on your strokes at home. So first of all, in tennis, the racket is really an extension of the palm of your hand. So as tennis players, what we want to think about when we're demonstrating a stroke is the palm of our hands. Oftentimes I see a lot of people, they demonstrate strokes with a closed fist. And that shows me that they're not a very experienced tennis player, to be honest. Experienced players demonstrate strokes with the palm of their hand because they know that the palm of the hand is representative of the strings. With that being said, as far as working on our forehands and our two-handed backhands, which most of us have, I'll get to the one-handed backhand at the end. We want to focus on one part of our hand in particular, in addition to the palm, and that is our thumb. As we get better players, as we get to become better players, as many of you may know, we start to want to use topspin. Topspin is the key factor that gets the ball over the net and brings the ball down into the court for us. So one great way to practice topspin and your strokes in general at home is to think about your thumb. If I'm demonstrating a forehand with the palm of my right hand, I would generally have my thumb sort of pointed up to the sky, if you see my thumb on my right hand. When I demonstrate the stroke, simply what I do is I will rotate that thumb over to the point where that thumb is turning back down again. As you can see, my palm of my hand is still open and exposed, and that represents my strings. But I initially start with the thumb up, I roll it over 180 degrees and end up with that thumb down. And that is very representative of what you want to do when you hit a topspin forehand. Moving on to our two-handed backhand, the left hand, well, if we are right-handed, it would be our left hand. If we're left-handed, it's our right hand, is going to be the hand that does most of the work. Akin to what you're doing with your forehand on your right hand, you're going to be doing something exactly the same, really, not I was going to say very similar, but exactly the same with your left hand. And that is palm out, fingers out to the side here. We have our thumb pointed up to the sky. And simply what we're going to do is rotate that 180 degrees to the point where our thumb is pointed down. And there is our topspin backhand action, okay? Now, with that, our right hand, if I was to do demonstrate a two-handed backhand, right hand would be gripping the racket, left hand would be up above here. So if I move those two hands together, you can see how that represents a little bit more of what a two-handed backhand looks like. But this is the concept here, folks. Kids, if you can practice this at home a little bit, just these actions right here, almost like you're wiping the wall, like Mr. Miyagi on the Karate Kid, that will really help your strokes. Now, if you want to make it a little bit more realistic, go ahead. If you have a ping pong paddle at home, some of you may have a ping pong paddle. You can take that ping pong paddle in your hands, wrap your fingers around like I'm doing so I can hold the ping pong paddle, but keep that thumb up just to represent what we're talking about. Thumb up to the sky. As you can see, the end of the paddle is out to the side, just like my fingers were before. Remember that? Okay. And if you see, I roll that paddle over, and now my thumb is pointing down. And that's how we would hit a forehand topspin in tennis. Here we go with our left hand, otherwise known as our backhand if we're righties. Obviously, this will be the opposite if you're a lefty. We got our paddle out to the side here. We got our thumb up to the sky. Right over the top. Okay? If you want to make it look like a two-handed backhand, we add this hand down below here as if it's on the grip. Same concept. Okay? Now, because I'm a tennis pro, I happen to have a tennis racket here. Same concept with this tennis racket. You can hold it a little bit higher up on the handle. You can hold it all the way at the bottom of the handle. Let's grip it with the fingers, but keep our thumb up to illustrate it. And here we go. Boom. Boom. Two-handed backhand. Thumb up. Boom. And finally, I happen to have a ball on a stick, otherwise known as the Billie Jean King Eye Coach. There's a couple of great devices in this email that I'm sending out this video to. I will include a couple of links for some things that you can buy at home. If we're tennis players and we're at home and we have devices like this, we can practice in our home. So if I take the same concept, I put my thumb up to the sky here, I get my racket out to the side, I can hit this tennis ball, and I don't know if you can see it very closely. I will try to add to this video if I can. I can spin that tennis ball with my strings. I'm hitting the ball and I am spinning the ball. Same thing with my left hand, thumb up to the sky. I'm hitting the ball and I'm spinning the ball. And of course, if I add my other hand on the bottom here, now we're looking like a two-handed backhand that I'm spinning. Okay, so this is a great thing that everyone can practice at home while we're stuck during the coronavirus pandemic. And you can improve your game even in your basement or your apartment or your room.